Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. I'm Todd Marquardt here with Carlos Garcia, who does financial planning. His dream as a young man was to help people become financially secure, and he's doing that now. I found a quote: "Never throughout history has a man who lived a life of ease left a name worth remembering." That was Theodore Roosevelt. And so now we're going to be talking about legacy.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored by Marquardt Law Firm.
Because Marquardt Law Firm sponsors the show, and because we focus on last wills, living trusts, and tax-protected inheritance plans, we like to ask our guest about legacy. What do you want your legacy to be? Or what legacy have you received from those who have gone before you?
Good question. So I feel like my legacy, I want my legacy to be someone that, helps out and has always given back to the community. Like I said, I grew up in an area where there's not a ton of resources, so I want to give back to that area. One of my goals or my dreams has always been to open up a gym, for basketball, or volleyball, somewhere where the kids can go and they can go and they can play and they can not worry about what's going on outside. They can, just enjoy themselves for a while. Some of the area where I grew up in, it's not the greatest area. So, sometimes, it's better to have a somewhere where you can go and feel safe.
Yeah.
So that's always been a legacy. That's something I've always wanted to give back. I coached my son's basketball team in the past. I officiate basketball now and in the evenings, and it's going to be, and basketball has always been huge for me. So that's something that I want to give back.
What's that like? People yell at you for making bad calls?
Yes. So yes, that's the tough part, right? So on the coaching end, it's we're doing the yelling, and the refs are definitely not on our side, and and now that I'm officiating, now I'm getting to learn that side of things, and that's I've always wanted to do it. It's been people have asked me why don't I officiate in the past? I know the rules, and now I finally jumped and I'm doing it, and it's you have to explain the rules to people sometimes, and some people don't like the rules, but then when you explain it, and then they realize, oh, okay, I understand it now, and now you can move on, but it's about educating, I guess,
Yeah, you're an educator at heart.
Yeah.
Tell us about your parents. Your parents have a wonderful story.
Yes, so my mom is from El Salvador, and she moved here. I don't know what year she moved over here. I wasn't alive yet. And so she moved out here, and she started working at Levi's, and that's where she met my dad. And, making the jeans. She did something. They both did something with sewing with the jeans. And then, we were doing fairly well, and then Levi's decided to move their plant somewhere else. And, we went from doing okay to, really struggling for a little bit. And it really made me realize that nothing is guaranteed. You can have something that's really good and great, and you're able to love what's going on, and then all of a sudden it could be taken from you. So that's kind of, I guess, cliche, but that's why you have to have the planning in place, because you never know what's going to happen, and that's always been huge for me, something that I learned as a kid. Needless to say, they got back on their feet, and that's taught me to never give up, always keep pushing forward, roll with the punches, and never give up. If you have a goal, you have a dream, you're able to accomplish it. My mom's always wanted to have a house that she's able to pass down to either, my siblings and I, or grandkids, or now great-grandkids. My nephew just had a baby, about 9 months ago. So they never gave up, and my mom's able to accomplish the goals. My dad's been right there, helping, getting everything done, and, adapting to the punches himself also. He's, had he had to learn different things, after they got laid off, my dad had to go to Florida to work construction with one of his friend that owns a construction company. He went out there for like a month or something or two, and I mean, he had to do what he had to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I wanted to say something more on my soapbox about life insurance, because I think that people have their priorities out of whack, and it may be because there's nobody that's ever told them how important it is to have that.
Exactly.
Well, you have car insurance. You pray that your car never gets wrecked into. You have homeowners insurance. You pray there's never a fire.
Mm-hmm.
But with your life, you know that you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that we're going to have a fire.
Yeah.
We don't know that we're going to have an accident, but we know someday we're going to die. And so we need to have life insurance for that. And I'm sorry if this has happened to you, but if you go on Facebook and you ask for money through GoFundMe and you didn't have life insurance, but you had cable TV and you had Netflix and Hulu
or insurance on
Prime.
your cell phone.
Yeah, insurance on the phone, but not on your life. That's the wrong order of priorities. It's like paying the electric bill or the water bill. You got to pay that life insurance premium. So if nobody's ever told you that life insurance is important, I'm telling you now, and you have no excuse. Go out and find somebody to help you figure out what kind of policy to get and how much to be insured for and all of that.
Exactly.
Because I had a friend in law school who, after practicing for a few years, was tragically killed in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
And he left a wife and 5 kids under the age of 12 with no life insurance. And I know it's hard to raise 5 kids, even as an attorney. And I'm sure that's why he had a hard time, or maybe that's why, I don't know for sure, that's why he didn't have life insurance. But that's why I'm telling everybody that I can to look into it and find a way to pay for it, and don't wait until you're old because of the underwriting.
That's what I was going to add. You definitely want to get it, the younger you are. As we get older, I don't know very many people that get healthier as they get older. I just had someone reach out to me a couple of months ago. Their father-in-law was terminally ill, and they wanted to find some kind of policy that'll help. And at that point, there's really not much you can do. He was already going to go into a hospice, and it was just a matter of time. And it hurts. I mean, it bothers me a lot because that's something that we could plan for ahead of time, and maybe I didn't reach out in time. Maybe I could have done something different so that way I'm able to help them beforehand. But it's just something that the younger you are, the better, because then your premiums will be a lot lower, underwriting will be a lot smoother. Myself, I'm going to be 40 in, 4 or 5 months. So I have plans in place. I have plans for my children. So the earlier that you can get it, the better, and if you get it for your kids and they're secured, they won't have to go through underwriting later. That policy stays with them.
Right. So say something more about life insurance for children.
Yes. So with life insurance for children, it's like I said earlier, there's cash value that grows. If your children go to school and they get scholarships and their college is paid for, then the cash value, they can use it for something else. They could use it to buy a car, to put a down payment on a house, to pay for a wedding. There's different things that you can use the cash value for. And if they don't need any help like that, well, then they just keep the policy forever, and the cash value just keeps growing and growing, so the death benefit grows also on most of the policies that I use. So I mean, the younger you're able to get it, the more that it's beneficial for everyone, for your children.
I'm glad that you mentioned your age, because I've sort of noticed a pattern in younger clients that a term life insurance policy is usually less expensive. Mm-hmm. And so when they start work, either out of high school or out of college, the ones that do buy life insurance sometimes buy the term policy because it's less expensive mm-hmm. than the whole life policy. And then when they turn about 40, that's when they start making more money. Yes. And I think it's a good opportunity to convert the policy from a term policy to a whole life policy. Is that an automatic thing, or what are some of the issues that come up there?
So with having a term policy, so every policy, every client has different goals or concerns that they have, and so it depends on their budget. A lot of people, when they're younger, they're starting off, like you said, and yeah, term policies are great. The best policy to have is the one that's in place when you need it. Mm-hmm. That's hands down the best advice that I can give. And then as they get older, then a lot of the policies are convertible, so you're able to transition from a term policy to a whole life policy with I believe it's like 10 questions. It's a 10 question page form that it's a health questionnaire, and then we convert it over. And some policies give credits, so your policy will be lower your first 2 years, and so that's huge right there.
It's a good question to ask when you're buying the term policy. Mm-hmm. Will I be able to convert this later?
Exactly. Yes. Because some policies you can't, and most of the ones that I work with you can, just because of that aspect right there. Just so that way we're able to convert it from a term policy over to a whole life policy. Because as you get older, that's what you want to have. You want to have a policy that's going to last for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Because then after that point, you don't have to revisit your health concerns every year with the insurer.
Exactly. Yeah. Once you get a whole life policy, then your health questions and your underwriting is all set already. If you have a term policy, at the end of that term period, you're going to have to requalify. So that way you're able to get another policy. If you convert it over from a term to a whole life, then like I said, it's a few questions that we ask, and then from there it approves, or they decline it from there. But I haven't seen very many that get declined.
Good. Okay, well, we've had a good show about life insurance, financial security, trucking, oil field. How does all this fit with your faith plan, your faith?
So with faith, so I recently started going back to church in, I think it was March or April. And it all goes together because it's all part of a plan, and you have to be able to prepare and leave a legacy,
I can see God's plan through your life.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Thank you for being with us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Todd. I'll talk to you later.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.